know as a young boy the depth of her work that she was doing?
I knew a fair bit of it, mainly because she came back with all these stories
In the
and
coming
full of...
weeks, expect continued coverage of Harry's UK visit tied to the Invictus Games countdown in Birmingham, and close attention to whether he does. In fact, visit Althorp House with Archie and Lilibet as reported. If that visit happens, and if any images or details emerge, expect the same debate to resurface. Private grief versus public spectacle, and who gets to decide which one it is. Meanwhile, William's Homewards initiative will likely continue generating attention as it expands past its 3rd anniversary. Not as a one-off tribute, but as an ongoing institutional project that ties his mother's legacy to his own long-term public identity as the future king. Here's what we know for certain. On June 30th, William marked the Aberdeen milestone for Homewards on Instagram. On July 1st, Diana's actual birthday, he appeared at the Order of the Thistle service in Edinburgh, alongside King Charles, Queen Camilla, and Prince Edward. Harry is separately expected in the UK around the same period, with reports, not yet confirmed, pointing toward a visit to his mother's grave. What we don't know: the exact nature or timing of Harry's visit, whether the brothers coordinated anything privately around the anniversary, or how either of them feels, beyond what's been filtered through royal sources and palace-adjacent reporting. 2 paths forward seem most likely. In one, this story fades quietly, a birthday remembered, tributes paid, the news cycle moving on within days. In the other, the contrast between the brothers' approaches becomes another flashpoint in the ongoing, very public narrative of their estrangement, amplified by tabloids eager to frame every gesture as evidence of who really honors their mother. Either way, one thing is certain: almost 30 years after her death, Diana still shapes the story of the British monarchy more than almost anyone wearing a crown. If you want to understand where this goes next, how the Harry-William relationship evolves, and how the monarchy continues to manage her legacy, subscribe now, because we'll be covering every development as it happens. On June 30th, the day before his mother's birthday, Prince William posted to Instagram, marking the completion of new housing through Aberdeen's innovative housing project, sharing a message about Homewards, the homelessness charity he founded through the Royal Foundation. The post described meeting residents and support staff at Langstane Housing Association, one of Homewards' 6 flagship locations, and helping prepare welcome packages of essential items to help people settle in. The timing was not incidental. William has chosen his mother's birthday, year after year, to spotlight the causes that carried her values forward. And this year, that meant marking the 3rd anniversary of Homewards, an initiative launched in 2023 with the explicit goal of making homelessness rare, brief, and unrepeated. Royal sources close to William describe the connection as deeply personal, rooted in childhood visits to homeless shelters with Diana, who taught her sons that every person deserved dignity and practical support, not judgment. Headline Society. Plus, the following day, July 1st, Diana's actual birthday, William appeared publicly again, this time in Scotland. At St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, William attended the Order of the Thistle service alongside King Charles III, Queen Camilla, and Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, appearing in his role as Duke of Rothesay. Royal commentators noted the poignancy of the overlap, a formal state ceremony falling, by coincidence of the calendar, on the day that would have been his mother's 65th birthday. Yahoo! Yahoo! But that is only half the story. Because while William marked the day through institutional duty and long-term charitable work, his brother's approach appears to be taking a very different and more contested shape. Prince Harry is expected to visit Diana's grave at Althorp House in Northamptonshire with his children, Archie and Lilibet, in the days following what would have been her 65th birthday, reportedly timed around his UK visit for the one-year countdown to the Invictus Games in Birmingham. The visit has already drawn scrutiny. Althorp House is reportedly closing for 2 days during Harry's time in the UK, an unusual move during its limited public opening season, which has fueled speculation about the reasons behind it. Some commentary has gone further, accusing Harry of turning a private family moment into a public spectacle, a charge his supporters strongly dispute, pointing to his own past description in his memoir, Spare, of visiting his mother's grave as a quiet, private act of grief. This is the tension that has defined William and Harry's relationship to Diana's memory for years. One brother folding her legacy into slow, structural, institutional change. The other processing his grief more visibly, more personally, and, according to critics, more publicly than the family would prefer. Neither approach is wrong, but both are being watched, judged, and dissected by a public that has never stopped feeling entitled to a piece of Diana's story. This isn't a story about oil prices or troop movements, but it is a story about something almost as durable: the way institutions manage memory, and the way the public decides who gets to own a legacy. The institutional consequence. Every time William ties Diana's memory to homewards, he's doing something the modern monarchy has learned to do carefully, converting personal grief into public utility. It reinforces the idea that the royal family's relevance depends not just on tradition, but on visible, measurable good works. Homewards now operates across 6 areas of the UK, backed by roughly $2.6 million through its dedicated fund. That is a concrete, ongoing commitment, not a one-day gesture. And it is part of a broader strategy by the palace to position the younger royals as active problem solvers rather than ceremonial figures. The media consequence. Stories like this, anniversary tributes, grave visits, birthday commemorations, remain some of the most reliably consumed royal content in the world, nearly 3 decades after Diana's death. That tells us something about the public's relationship to her. It was never really about royal protocol. It was about a woman who felt human in an institution built on distance. Her sons are still, in different ways, managing the public's ongoing emotional claim on her memory. The family consequence. The contrast between William's public, institutional tribute and Harry's more private and now scrutinized visit to Althorp is not just tabloid fodder. It's a live illustration of the deeper rift between the brothers. Every choice either of them makes around their mother's memory is read as a statement about their relationship with the family, with the press, and with each other. A closed estate, a charity anniversary, a formal ceremony in Edinburgh. None of these are neutral acts anymore. They are all, whether intended or not, part of an ongoing public narrative about who honors Diana correctly. Why it matters to you, the viewer. If you have ever lost a parent or watched someone you love navigate grief in the public eye versus in private, this story resonates beyond royal fandom. It's a case study in something universal. There is no single right way to carry a parent's memory forward. William chose structure and legacy building. Harry, reportedly, chose quiet reflection at a graveside. Both are grief. Both are love. The tragedy is that neither brother gets to do it without an audience. Today, Britain paused, not for a state occasion, not for a political milestone, but for a woman who has been gone for nearly 3 decades and whose absence still shapes the modern monarchy more than almost any living figure. Today would have been Diana, Princess of Wales's 65th birthday, and on this day, Prince William did something few expected. A gesture that has already sent a wave of emotion across the country, reopened old wounds, and reminded millions why Diana's legacy refuses to fade. This is not just a royal anniversary. It is a moment that reveals how the House of Windsor has quietly, deliberately worked to preserve the memory of the most photographed, most scrutinized, and most beloved royal figure of the modern era. To understand why William's tribute today matters, why it moved so many people, and why royal watchers are calling it one of the most significant private-turned-public gestures of his life, we have to understand who Diana was what she meant to Britain, and the complicated, evolving relationship her sons have had with her memory since 1997. Because this story isn't really about a single tribute. It's about grief that never fully resolved, about a nation that adopted a grief of its own, and about two sons who have spent their adult lives deciding again and again how much of their mother's story belongs to the public, and how much belongs only to them. Today, William made that choice again, and Britain noticed. If you want to understand the full story behind this moment, the history, the timeline, and what it reveals about the future of the monarchy, make sure you're subscribed, because we're breaking down every layer of this story in the sections ahead. To understand why a single day, a birthday, a private gesture, can still dominate headlines almost 30 years later, you have to go back to who Diana Spencer was before she became the people's princess. She married Prince Charles in 1981, at just 20 years old, in a wedding watched by an estimated global audience of over 700 million people. From the beginning, Diana was different from the royals who came before her. She was warm, where the institution was reserved. She touched AIDS patients at a time when public figures avoided them out of fear and stigma. She walked through active landmine fields in Angola to advocate for their removal. She spoke openly, imperfectly, humanly, in an institution built on silence and formality. By the early 1990s, her marriage to Charles had publicly unraveled. The couple separated in 1992 and divorced in 1996. Diana retained the title Princess of Wales, but was stripped of the style Her Royal Highness, a decision that still generates debate among royal historians today. Then came August 31, 1997. Diana died in a car crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris, along with Dodi Fayed and driver Henry Paul, while being pursued by paparazzi. She was 36 years old. What followed was one of the most extraordinary displays of collective public grief in modern British history. An estimated 1 million people lined the streets of London for her funeral. The palace itself was criticized, sharply, for its initial silence, seen by many as cold and out of step with a nation in mourning. Queen Elizabeth II's decision to eventually address the country directly and to fly the flag at half-mast over Buckingham Palace is now understood as a turning point in how the modern monarchy manages public emotion. William was 15 when his mother died. Harry was 12. In the decades since, the two brothers have handled her memory very differently, a divergence that has only grown more visible. William has largely folded Diana's legacy into his public, institutional role, naming his daughter Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, incorporating her sapphire engagement ring into Kate's, speaking about her influence on his approach to mental health advocacy and fatherhood. Harry, by contrast, has spoken far more directly and personally about his grief. In interviews, in his memoir, and in his public break from royal duties, which he has tied in part to how the institution handled both his mother's death and his own life afterward. That contrast is the backdrop against which any tribute, public or private, must be read. Because in the modern monarchy, nothing involving Diana is ever just personal. Every gesture is measured against history, against the institution's past failures, and against the ongoing question of how much the royal family owes the memory of the woman it once tried to keep at arm's length.